millions. She found every dollar. Where's that?
The numbers are staggering. California under Gavin Newsom has become America's fraud capital, with investigators uncovering billions in stolen taxpayer dollars across multiple programs. From unemployment to small business loans to healthcare fraud, the Golden State has turned into a criminal enterprise operating under the cover of progressive governance. But now Trump's team is fighting back, and what they're discovering will absolutely shock you. It's something we've been tracking here for weeks, since Nick Shirley blew the entire lid off of these scandals in Minnesota. Of course, it's spreading nationwide. The investigations reaching into California, New York, Illinois, all over the country. But it's not just about California anymore. This is about your tax dollars being systematically stolen and redistributed through fraudulent government programs. Every dollar stolen from unemployment benefits, every fake small business loan, every bogus Medicaid claim comes directly out of your pocket through federal funding. Now, politically, this exposes the entire Democrat governance model is fundamentally corrupt and incompetent. When Kevin Kiley says that this is just the tip of the iceberg, he's warning us that every blue state could be running similar schemes, and we believe they are. If we don't stop this now, fraud will become the standard operating procedure for Democrat-controlled states nationwide. And speaking of things being exposed, here's something else breaking quietly that most people miss. While headlines focus on California fraud, the Trump administration just released a document that could fundamentally reshape the U.S. mining sector. Now, this is real. It's unfolding right now under Executive Order 14241. Now, this goes far beyond typical policy changes. We're talking about a complete restructuring of America's critical mineral strategy. The implications are massive for companies positioned in the right sectors. Now, Vizsla Copper, they've been tracking these developments very closely. What they're seeing suggests major opportunities ahead for strategic mineral assets. Now, the timing could not be more critical as America works to secure its supply chains and reduce dependence on foreign sources. Now, this is not speculation. This is actually policy in motion, creating real market dynamics that smart investors are already positioning for. Now, the resource sector is heating up fast, but you need to find out all. If you want to get involved with this, there is an exclusive briefing that has been prepared for you. It is linked down below, and we thank Vizsla Copper for supporting this program. But here is where it gets even more interesting. See, Trump's Small Business Administration didn't just find the fraud. They froze the accounts. We're talking about 111,620 borrowers with $8.6 billion in stolen pandemic funds. And that's just what they've caught so far. Meanwhile, federal judges are striking down Newsom's attempts to interfere with ICE operations. And investigators like Nick Shirley, they're documenting the crises that's draining billions more in fraudulent spending. Now, let's jump to this real quick here, because we've got Matt Gaetz on One American News on his new show. I still wish he was back in Congress or even at the Attorney General's office. But they write solid, eye-opening interview with Florida Senator Don Gaetz on Matt Gaetz's One American News show, exposing California hospice fraud. Criminals targeting our most vulnerable. It is unacceptable. Now, I don't know if this is this Don Gaetz. The last name is spelled the same, so I'm assuming there's a relation here. Let's find out. Maybe he'll allude to it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming by. When you saw that CMS was talking about this billions of dollars in hospice fraud in California, what was your reaction?
Well, my immediate reaction was to say California is doing for hospice what Minnesota did for childcare. And apparently it's, there's an ethnic flavor to it for some odd reason, and that's unfortunate. But this has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with unscrupulous fraudsters taking advantage of an extraordinary opportunity and benefit that we put in place in Medicare years ago to allow terminally ill people in the last 6 months of life to get more appropriate care, pain control, other kinds of appropriate care in their last months of life. This is terrible. As somebody who was involved in the development of hospice in this country, I'm shocked. Unfortunately, I'm not surprised, because California has a record, particularly in recent years, of allowing unscrupulous activity in healthcare and not doing the job that California should do in providing oversight from the state.
Dad,
Thank you.
thanks for coming.
Clearly, it was his own father. I had no idea that Matt Gaetz' father was in public office. Well, now you know. But the hospice fraud story is the opening act. We're about to see how deep California's corruption rabbit hole really goes. Nick Shirley posted that he has arrived in California. That should make Gavin Newsom very, very nervous. Gavin Newsom can account for more than $76 billion of fraud. And remember, the number in Minnesota was estimated conservatively at 19 billion. So put that in perspective. Trump says it's worse in California than Minnesota, if that's even possible. Gavin Newsom is about to be exposed. Listen.
Well, there's massive fraud in California. I mean, the homelessness has just increased as they receive more money. And that's just one part of it. And like you talked about the light rail and everything like that, the fraud is like crazy in California, and they have the highest taxes.
Yeah, they want more.
Yeah.
Nick, has anybody approached you about this thing? I tweeted it about it. I had never heard about it, but these guys educated me on it, called Quitan, which is this framework where you can actually sue on behalf of the state and on behalf of taxpayers. Has anybody approached you about thinking about using all of the information that you've garnered to try to launch some of these lawsuits, or no?
Yeah, I actually had somebody reach out to me the other day about it. So I'm going to actually hop on a phone call with that guy.
Yeah, also, as I understand it, some of these whistleblower laws reward the whistleblower with something like 20 to 30% of amounts
Up
that
to
are
50% in some cases.
Yeah, that are, I don't know if it's like fines or it's amounts that are recaptured.
Recaptured, yeah.
But I don't know, Nick, you could become a billionaire here just with all the billions you've exposed.
I know, right? I got to sit down and figure it out.
I know that's not why you're in it, but
You'd be the most well-loved billionaire in America if you did.
Absolutely. Well, the way to do it is, since you're drafting off of these other news reports, is to set up your own tip line. So, Nick, what's your website? Or do you have a website where people can donate? And do you have a tip line? Because you wouldn't get the whistleblower awards for the stuff Fox 9's been doing for a decade, but for the next one, you could. So what is your website where people can donate, Nick?
Yeah, everything just on social media. So they can message me on any platform. I should probably get a website going.
Nick, what's your social media handle where people can DM you and donate?
Yeah, it's just Nick Shirley. And if you go on X, I do have my tip section open. So if you would like to donate there, that gives them all the, Perfect. Whether it be Venmo, Cash App, crypto.
While investigators are descending on California, the Trump administration is simultaneously dropping bombshell numbers that will make your head spin. The Trump administration has uncovered $8.6 billion in COVID-related small business fraud in California. Here are the actors in Minnesota. And of course, California is next on the list. 76 billion figure got very specific. Now we have hard evidence of where billions of fraudulent dollars actually went. Trump exposing an absolutely massive fraud in Gavin Newsom's California. The SBA just froze 111,000 borrowers' funds connected to $8.6 billion in pandemic fraud that occurred under the Biden administration. Now that's a smoking gun, but this is where it gets even more staggering. A California congressman about to reveal the true scope. Kevin Kiley of California had this to say. Let's see here. Well, let's go to this is the fraud of the frozen 8.6 billion. Check this out.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm here in San Diego, standing at an address that is registered to 14 businesses that took $2 million in pandemic-era loans. Those loans haven't been paid back, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. Today, the SBA is announcing we're suspending 112,000 California borrowers who took potentially upwards of $9 billion. We're going to continue to work with our federal partners to ensure accountability for COVID-era fraud that the Biden administration tried to sweep under the rug. And just like Minnesota, California is another state whose socialist welfare policies have invited fraud. Well, the buck stops here. We're not looking the other way. We're prosecuting. There's going to be more to come. I'm here in San Diego.
We are all looking forward to it. Every audit of a California program seems to uncover staggering fraud. $32.6 billion in unemployment fraud, billions in SNAP and Medi-Cal, millions of fake community college applicants. Only the tip of the iceberg.
Billions in unemployment fraud. California Republicans are calling for an audit in the Golden State. Congressman Kevin Kiley is requesting that the Government Accountability Office conduct a study on the scale of fraud in California, going back 10 years. Kiley citing billions in unemployment fraud during the pandemic as one example of the need for such a study.
This study, Mr. Speaker, will provide information that we very much need in order to exercise the full range of oversight and accountability tools we have here in Congress to protect the tax dollars of hardworking California residents.
And while Kiley is demanding an inquiry into California, Congresswoman Young Kim is pushing for federal legislation to stand up a national fraud task force.
What we're trying to do is put real teeth and go after investigating the fraud, waste, and abuse that is occurring across the nation.
The Government Accountability Office has reported that about $162 billion in improper payments were made by the federal government nationwide in 2024. Kim's bill, if passed into law, would direct the president to create a federal fraud interagency task force within 90 days and appoint a director within 180 days who would be tasked with investigating fraud in coordination with state and local law enforcement.
What we want to do is put one quarterback on the field. We want to have one game plan with the one end goal, that is investigate fraud.
The president has cited California in recent months as a hotbed of fraud.
We got to straighten this out before it gets too crazy. California is more corrupt than California is more corrupt than Minnesota.
On social media, he said an investigation into California has begun, but so far, few details have emerged. California Republicans are calling for an audit in the Golden State.
That is only the beginning, and I think it's great. They definitely need to have a unified task force. I know that the Treasury Department is working on something like that as well. They just appointed a new attorney general. Now, I want to continue with what we have with respect to, let's see, we have this as well. Facing Medicaid fraud allegations, California changes the subject. Of course they do. The fraud is still ongoing because people aren't doing anything to stop it. But that may all change. Gavin Newsom, though, of course, wants to change the narrative.
Beings in my lifetime. I think Trump is one of the most destructive presidents and human beings in my lifetime. I think this republic is at real risk, this country being unrecognizable. And I have no patience for people that want to indulge it. I can't stand the crony capitalism. I can't stand all these supplicants that are sitting there bending the knee to this president. I can't stand the universities that have done that, the law firms that have done that, the individual corporate leaders that have done that, the other governors, maybe Democrats and Republicans that have been complicit at this moment. This guy is reckless. He's wrecked this country. We'll not have a fair and free election if we don't continue to fight. That's what matters to me, seriously. I'm the future ex-governor, and who the hell knows what happens the rest of my life, except one thing I know that matters in the rest of my life is I have to look at my kids in the goddamn eye. I mean that, seriously. That's not like a politician thing, to look them in the eye and say that not a peril of being judged not to have lived in the moment. I think Trump is one of the most destructive.
Yeah. I think you should have more concerns about when you look your children in the eyes for allowing the fraud and the crime to continue in your state. How about that? And then a major ICE victory, a federal judge in California blocking Gavin Newsom's law requiring federal agents to unmask. For the judge, the law violated the Constitution's supremacy clause, so that's good news. Nick Shirley dropping video exposing the homeless crisis in California.
Alive and that he doesn't need Narcan right now. This guy is clearly, he's passed out right now. How do we know that he is still alive and that he doesn't need Narcan right now?
He's breathing. You see his chest rising and it's going up and down and his color.
Show that, sadly. But it is that bad in California, people crashing out on the streets. But you saw Gavin Newsom, his defiant stance. being tested as in real time as judges are pushing back. Legal battles are intensifying, but of course, what we just presented there with the homeless situation is really just a gut punch. See, this is the moment everything comes together in California, okay? It's been operating as a massive money laundering operation, taking federal dollars, funneling them through fraudulent programs while claiming to help the homeless, unemployed, and small businesses. Trump has caught them red-handed, and now Newsom is desperately trying to change the subject and obstruct federal investigations. The fraud runs so deep that every audit reveals billions more in theft. So California's fraud empire represents everything wrong with Democrat governance: incompetence, corruption, and contempt for the taxpayer. From $32.6 billion in unemployment fraud to billions more in health care and small business scams, Newsom has turned the Golden State into a criminal enterprise, but Trump's team is fighting back. They're freezing accounts, overruling unconstitutional laws, and exposing the truth. And this is why we need America First leadership in every single state, not just in Washington, D.C. The question is simple. Are you ready to hold every Democrat governor accountable for the fraud happening in their states? Let us know in the comments, and while you're showing your support, check out the Next News merch shop to gear up for the battles ahead.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this. Share this now.